I have a story for you /x/. Have any of you had a recurring dream? Like a really vivid one where you feel as though you're actually there? I used to have this one strange dream in particular when I was a kid. I had this dream on and off for the span of several years. I've never posted this story anywhere else, and to be honest, the only other person I've told this to was my older brother, who thought I was delusional. Everything here is completely 100% true. The year 2000. I'm 6 years old. My family had recently moved into a brand new house in a nice little neighborhood in southeast Melbourne, Australia. This neighborhood is located just south of, pretty much a part of, a section of a huge national park. Pretty much a mix of open fields and dense forest with hiking and bike riding trails running throughout the park. Our house was at the end of a cul-de-sac that was about I'm 13 at this point. Me, my older brother and the kids from next door often went out exploring the forest for a number of hours at a time. Walking along the trails without a care in the world, riding out bikes to the lake in the summer to go swimming. We decided to camp out there one night, not too far from the house, but not in the backyard. The morning before heading out, we all decided that we'd go to our super secret hideout, this really dense area about a 20 minutes walk from our house. We take a 5-man tent, sleeping bags, flashlights, and a whole bunch of snacks and make our way into the woods. We set up pretty quickly and get a small fire going. By the time the sun had set, we had already eaten most of the food and were in the process of telling each other spooky ghost stories. At about 1 a.m., we were all pretty damn tired, so we crawled into the tent and went to sleep. I can remember exactly what I dreamt that night, as this would become a routine thing for me. It starts with me waking up in my bed really early in the morning, like 5 a.m. I get out of bed, still wearing my PJs, and walk to the kitchen. All the lights are on and everything seems as though it's very subtly tinted blue. For some unknown reason, I walk out the front door, barefoot, and make my way into the pitch black woods along the main trail in complete silence. After maybe 1 kilometer in, I walk off to the right, down a slight hill and into a particularly dense area. After making my way through in between some bushes, I step onto a narrow rocky dirt path that snaked its way through the trees off into the distance. At this point the sun has already risen enough to light the place up, and I notice that everything still seems slightly blue, unlike the usual green and brown. For some reason, it only dawns on me now that I have absolutely no idea where I am. After walking for what feels like hours, I finally make my way into this perfect little clearing. Everything looks just the same as any other part of the forest, except for one glaring feature. There's an old bright red car parked right in the middle of the clearing. It was rather clean and seemed to have been looked after by someone. I'm not at all fazed by this, and I walk up to the driver's side door and pull the handle. The door opens and I look down at the seat. The seat is heavily stained with what might have been blood or wine or something similar, and there are a number of small broken bones on the floor near the pedals. The rest of the car, however, is completely fine and damn near spotless. It's at this point that I decided that I'm tired from my long walk, so I close the door and open the back seat door. I crawl inside, closing the door after me, and lay down on the back seats, drifting off to sleep. Can't. The next thing I remember was waking up in the tent next to my brother and our friends. I can still remember every single detail of my dream as though it had just happened. I decided it was nothing but a crazy dream and wake everyone up so we can pack up and head home. I spend the entire walk home in silence, thinking about my dream. Over the next 3 months, I had the exact same dream about 7 times. At this point, I'm starting to get a little worried. I ask my brother if I can tell him something. After explaining exactly what I saw to him, he asks me if I'd been stealing booze from our parents' liquor cabinet. I tell him several times that I'd being completely serious, but he brushes me off, claiming that I'm just crazy. I consider telling my mom, but decide to try and debunk this mystery on my own. I'd be Sherlock Holmes and get to the bottom of it. Didn't have a computer at home, so that ruled out searching online for answers. couldn't find any books on dreams at the school library, so I pretty much gave up at that point. I was still having the dream about once every 2 weeks or so. After several more months or having this repeat dream, it started happening less and less frequently and life pretty much returned to normal. Late August, 2012. I have the dream again for the first time in about 18 months. Exactly the same as every other time before. I decide I'm gonna get to the bottom of this if it no matter what. I'm sick of having this stupid fucking dream and I thought it had stopped. I remember I set out from home around 5 p.m. on the 23rd. I can still vividly recall the exact path my dream had led me down, and I start making my way into the woods for the first time in roughly 2 years. I walk along the main trail until I reach the slope I had walked down many times before in my dream. I make a right and head into the bushes. After a little while, I find the dirt path leading through the trees and I follow it along. I walk for hours until I finally reach the clearing. But there's no red car anywhere. There are, however, a set of tire tracks leading off further into the woods. At this point, I'm thoroughly freaked out and consider turning back before it gets too dark, but I decide to push onwards. I follow the tracks along a short way to an area with considerably less trees. And then I see it. The old red car. Just sitting there. But it's been completely trashed and busted up. I'm a mix of excited and on the verge of shitting myself. I walk up to the car to inspect it. The driver's seat has been ripped out along with the hood and the rear door. It looked as though it had been sitting there for years. I whip out my phone and take 2 photos just in case I never see it again. I start jogging back along the path and get home around 9 p.m. I eat dinner with my family in complete silence, a million thoughts racing through my head. I went to bed that night expecting to have the dream again, but it didn't happen. I haven't had the dream again ever since that afternoon in the woods. Still have no explanation as to why this has happened to me. 3 nights ago. Going through photos on my old piece of shit Asus laptop. Find the photos of the car. All these memories flood back. Decide to write this out and post it to /x/. Pic related. It's the car, taken from my phone. Here's the other photo. I honestly have no idea as to why I started having the dreams, but it is without a doubt the spookiest thing to ever happen to me. Does anyone have any ideas as to why this would have happened? It all started that night we went camping in the woods. I will be monitoring this thread periodically, answering any questions I can.
What is the distance between the real car and the car in your dream? What is the distance between the real car and the nearest road? Do you think the car is here since 2007 at least? If yes, why the tire tracks are still visible? Does anyone have any ideas as to why this would have happened? You have already saw this car before, but don't remember it. It is a very weird coincidence. Your soul got out of your body during theses nights and you were able to gather real informations. Someone died in this car, his ghost is leading you here for whatever reason. Pick one, or more.
I found the car roughly 150 m from the clearing and I have no clue how far it would be from the nearest road. It was a pretty isolated area. As for the tire tracks, the path had several muddy patches that looked as though they had dried up a while ago, but left clear tracks from what I can only imagine was the car. Now that I've had some time to look back on it, I'm getting the feeling it could have been an out-of-body experience or perhaps I was led there by a ghost. I really don't know.